All right, we got levels.
We are live. We are live with levels.
What up, YouTubers? What up?
YouTubing it up.
We're up and running.
Up and running.
Make sure you're liking, subscribing, sharing.
Follow. Do all those things for us because we appreciate it more than
free.
you know. And yeah, it costs nothing if you're tuning in anyway.
It's like kindness. You know, it's free. It
is.
It don't cost anything.
Doesn't cost nothing.
Louis came up to remind you guys that he agrees and that love is very important. Yes, he did. Getting all your background noise. Yeah, yes, I know.
Good job.
Okay,
Good job.
Come on.
Good job.
There you go.
Good job. Good boy. Anyway, moving on.
He's got to make at least one appearance. I mean,
let's get some music going and let's kick.
Don't forget to hit your record button.
I gotta get the music. Music comes first, my friend.
Fair enough.
You got the progression.
I know how you roll. You know, sometimes. I mean,
it's
honestly,
it's been a long time.
I know, but I also gotta stop acting like it happened like 30 times. Like it happened once. Like
maybe twice.
No, but like once where it was bad.
Yeah.
Right. Like once where what was it? That was the night
like
where I think we were at
in,
Joey's. I was at Joey's. Right.
I think that was when you were in Florida.
Yeah. We went a good 20-something minutes. I think we were like 27 minutes in. All of a sudden, you just started laughing. We're like, what? You're like, I never hit the record button. Oh, all right. Well, thought we were doing really well here. So hopefully we can reiterate this and do it all over again. But
well, the good thing now, though, about it is if I do miss it, it's still there on YouTube. Like YouTube's catching the whole thing. YouTube's catching us start to finish. So if that's where you're catching us, then yeah.
Yeah, YouTube wasn't. I don't even think YouTube was an option when we had the studio.
Oh no,
streaming on YouTube.
No,
I don't think that was. I think
that's
you had
why
to
we were
pay
streaming on the app.
Yeah, we were streaming on the app, and then we had the. I would go home and chop. I had the external hard drive, and I'd go home and I'd chop it up. God, that was exhausting. It really was.
It's so much. It's so much of a. Technology's caught up.
Yeah,
it's definitely.
We wanted to do more than what we had the means to do. Back then, we had to put a lot more legwork in. I just remember like getting home from the show, and I'm like, well, I gotta get to the gym, and I gotta do this, I gotta do that, but first I gotta chop up the show, and then trying to find that segment. How we did, usually we had 10 to 15 minute segments, so trying to like find that right stopping spot where that was.
It's a lot.
But that also got me made fun of by Michael Strahan. So shout out to Michael Strahan. I mean, still one of the coolest moments of ever doing this stuff with you guys was the fact that he called me out. It's like, well, top 5, I believe, is in the top 10, and I was like, oh shit, he got me on that one.
Well, I mean, listen, but you're just and rightfully so. You're a giant hater, so you were throwing that hate.
Oh yeah,
and sometimes you got to get called out on it.
And I was going at him, right? Favre handed him the sack record. I'm never gonna get off that hill. That's a hill I died on, and I'm my dead body's staying up there.
Well, speaking of dying on that hill, and speaking of legendary moments and things of that nature, let's kick this show off and get it started right there.
All right, sounds good.
It's good to be back again. Yeah.
Here we go.
Back with my buddy Dave.
It's Tuesday. We're trying to be consistent here for you people.
Consistency is key.
That's what
we're doing better. Listen, we're doing good with the consistency.
I know. I was thinking about that on the ride here, like how the consistency is going to be dying in the next couple of weeks because I might start working from home, so I could be just calling in on Tuesdays for a while because Amanda's last day at work is June 6th. So starting that following week, she's basically on bed rest, and I got a meeting with my HR team on Monday to see if I can get approved to work from home while she's on bed rest. And then once the baby gets here, I mean, that's going to be at least a couple weeks hiatus for me because I'm going to have to learn how to be a freaking dad.
Good, my friend. All good.
Maybe I'll FaceTime you with the baby. We'll have baby Stephanie become a symbol. She'll help us gain people because, I mean, who
sorry. Wouldn't want to see her?
I have a hard time believing I'm not going to have a cute kid. I really do. Like, I mean, it may not be, the cutest kid in the world. In my eyes, it's going to be. Right, but to the rest of the world, it might not be the cutest kid in the world, but I have a hard time believing I'm not going to have a cute kid because I was a cute kid. I don't know what the hell happened as the years went by, but I was a cute kid. Like,
I say it all the time. I was damn cute as a kid. Yeah. The old age has not done me well.
No. The years have gone by and age has caught up. I did a presentation today at work, and I had my old picture from when I started at ADP 9 years ago. May 2nd was my 9-year anniversary from when I started at ADP. And I pulled up the picture and I just said to it was like a group of like 10 people I was presenting to. And I was like, look, I've gained weight and I've lost hair, but I promise that's me. Right? Like, I mean, just in the 9 years, the difference is just like, oh, son of a bitch, man.
It's almost a decade, though, man. That ain't nothing to sneeze at. That's a long time.
Yeah, my 30s have had its fair share of up and down. So here we are, rocking and rolling, baby. So good to be back. You know what I mean?
Good.
Let's do it. I know you had something that.
Well, I was going to go in a different direction to where we were starting here.
Yeah, I mean, cute kids and all that stuff.
Yeah, because I was going now, and I'm going with the way opposite way. And I guess I'm going to start with the news that broke today. It's kind of like a bittersweet news because it's not the beginning of life we're talking about; it's the end of life.
Yeah.
And the literal term "lifetime ban" now apparently means lifetime ban.
Yeah.
Of now they are lifting the ban on Pete Rose, but not just Pete Rose, but also the Black Sox scandal and Shoeless Joe Jackson and it's just weird that the story comes out today. It's a random Tuesday.
Yeah, it's a real random.
But at the same time, like, you know that like the story they had to know this thing was coming. Like I don't know. It's one of those stories where I look at it and I'm like, you didn't give this guy the respect he deserved when he was here to put him in. Now you want to put him in after he's gone. As well, like an FU to him. Like, yeah, you never got to see yourself here. Like,
that's the key.
All-time hits leader.
Yeah, like the MLB gets to kind of sit on a high horse, like we did the right thing at the right time, and you're like, no, you didn't. Because I'm sorry, right? Like, if somebody was to say to you, right, like, hey, you know what, you do X, right? But we're never gonna recognize you for being one of the greatest to ever do it while you're alive. But when you pass away, we're gonna recognize you. Like, if my employer said that to me, I'd be like, well, you can take that recognition and shove it. Like, that literally, like, unless you're telling me you're cutting a check for my family and saying, hey.
No, that would be like using your example, ADP saying to you, Dave, we're canning you, you're gone. And then years later, long after you're gone, they go, oh, hey, we're recognizing Dave for all his hard work and dedication to ADP while in his 9 years here. Well, no, I'm sorry. Like, you had your chance. You banned him, you fired him, you got rid of him, and now all of a sudden you don't celebrate the guy after. Like, to me, I have a huge problem with this. I know my analogy probably wasn't the best either, but still, I just have a huge problem with this because man deserved to be in to begin with. Now, I get it that the betting on baseball thing. Everybody's betting everywhere now, and I don't care what anybody says. The Ohtani scandal from last year was way bigger than anything that Pete Rose ever did.
That was and I still can't believe his guy is still taking the fall for him.
No, of course he is, because it's a couple years in jail for that guy while Ohtani makes hundreds of millions of dollars. That guy is going to come out of jail and never work another day in his life because he did this for Ohtani.
Yep.
But you cannot tell me that any bookie out there in the world, and believe me, I've known a few in my life, not a lot, few, but I can guarantee you if any of them were owed $42 million, they'd know where that money was coming from. Or if any of them were owed any amount of money, they know where that money's coming from because they're going to get it from you one way or another. And guess what? They weren't going to get it from Ohtani's interpreter making $85,000 a year. That's not where the guy's betting millions. And on an $85,000 a year salary, no, those bookies knew he was backed by somebody.
Yeah.
And I get it that MLB, the feds, everybody bottled this story up because it would have been international intrigue. It would have been the biggest story, one of the biggest stories the world's ever seen if it did break the way it should have. And instead, it got buried like most things do. Like, you never find out. Like all the conspiracy theories. Put your tinfoil hats on, people. I'm telling you, it is conspiracy theory world out there, and we're just living in it. Like, and people don't understand it. Like, you think you do, but I'm throwing it to what happened last night in the NBA draft lottery, too. You cannot tell me this shit isn't rigged. You can't tell me that. You can't tell me that the Mavs, after trading Luka Doncic, after having a 1.8% chance to win the draft lottery, hit the draft lottery, and get the next generational guy in Cooper Flagg. Yeah, I mean, tell me that it just doesn't stink. And I mean, I could pull up example of it out of example. You look at Chicago. Where's Derrick Rose from Chicago? You look at other places. Like it's
Chicago had a 1.7% chance.
By the way, Wembanyama going to the Spurs, where he was apparently like coached up by Tony Parker, because again that French connection ends up with the Spurs after they lose everybody that they love, after Duncan and all them. Like, you can't tell me that some of this shit isn't rigging. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna throw it back even on my Knicks, who I love. Shout out to the Knicks, who are about to take this series from you, Dave, who swore that the Celtics are gonna run all over them. Yeah, anyway, the Knicks back in 84, 85. With the frozen envelope, apparently, and whatever. But that year, apparently, it was fixed for the Knicks to get Ewing. Like, this is what happens, apparently. And I'm tired of people telling us into our faces, no, it's all on the up and up. Everybody's got a chance. And really, nobody's got a chance. It's all bullshit. Like, don't, like, and that's what this Pete Rose, going back to the Pete Rose thing, that's what it is. It's bullshit. Years later, or, it's one thing if you held him out for 25 years, finally you let him in. When sports gambling finally got big, and it went legal in as many states as it went in, if you finally let him in and said, okay, well, what you did gambling-wise wasn't good and we don't condone it, we are allowing you in now, blah, 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 and let him in then. They didn't do it then. They waited until the guy died, and I have a big problem with that. I hope his family sticks by his wishes and does what's best for Pete Rose. And in that case, right now, he's the greatest to never be in of any hall, in my opinion. Greatest player to never be in the hall.
So what I think is, like, when I first heard this, like, in my head, I was like, I really hope they're not lifting the ban on the White Sox scandal.
They did.
And I didn't know that until you mentioned it, right? And the reason I said it, right, like, it was blatantly corruption and cheating to rig the most important series of the baseball season, which is the World Series, right? It was influenced by the mob. Like, it was this whole thing where they cheated and rigged it. That, to me, is so different than something like Pete Rose gambling on games, and you had no proof that he ever gambled once on any games that he was a part of. So you had no proof of that other than the fact that he was gambling. You had no proof of it. Where the White Sox scandal, you have proof, convictions, the whole 9 yards. That, to me, I don't care, lifetime ban or not. That, like, but no matter how you look at this, right? Like, this to me comes across as a headline grab. That's really what this comes across as. I think it's more of a, hey, we've gotten enough pressure for enough years. We're gonna do this, and we're gonna, quote unquote, because I don't believe they really think this, do right by these players, right? Pete Rose, you want to put a timeline? Hey, you know what? You did this. We're banning you for 20 years, right? We're banning you for 10 years. We're banning you for the life of a MLB player's career, right? The average time span of a Hall of Fame MLBer is 18 seasons, right? Whatever it is, right? Like, use some parameter. Don't just say, well, it's in the title, lifetime ban, and they're no longer alive, so the ban is lifted.
Here's what it should be. When you're no longer associated with the game, that's when when you're actually eligible to go to the hall, like when you're no longer a coach, no longer a player, when you're no longer affiliated with any of those ball clubs, meaning you're not coming back to be a coach during spring training, all that. When you're officially out of baseball, if you want to lift the ban then while they're in baseball, while they're doing baseball functions, if you want to have them not be eligible or whatever, I get it. But, once they hit a spot where they've been out of the league for X amount of time, they're not coaching, they're not doing anything else, they're not associated with any teams, then, again, the guy's all-time hits leader, he deserved to be in, and it's just a shame that they didn't do it while he was alive.
Read Manfred's quote. Like, he wrote this in an email. This isn't even somebody misinterpreting what he said. Obviously, a person no longer with us cannot represent a threat to the integrity of the game. Moreover, it is hard to conceive of a penalty that has more deterrent effect than one that lasts a lifetime with no reprieve. You sound like a jackass.
He is.
Like like you sound like a jackass. Like, so this whole thing to me is nothing more than a headline grab, and they're hoping some people are going to come over and be like, yeah, good job letting them in. But I think most people are going to react how you're reacting. I think most people that are even in my shoes that aren't big baseball people that really don't pay much attention to baseball, yet I've been aware of this my entire life. You're not winning me by this, right? I'm not sitting here saying, wow, I really respect baseball now, man. This is
good on baseball.
This is really holding true to your word. Like, no, you don't win somebody like me over with a move like this. If anything, especially after reading this quote, just tells me you're an asshole. Like, and my apologies to the YouTube world, right? We've said asshole, we said son of a bitch, but those are said in TV shows, so I think we're good anyway, right? You know,
yeah, no, we're good.
Public television, cable TV, I think we're okay there. I don't think we'll get kicked off. But like, screw you.
We're not monetized anyway, so I'm not worried about that.
Like, screw you. Like, I don't respect anything you're saying. I don't think this makes you look any better, right? But to me, I also do think if you were going to do this, there still has to be some line in the sand. And the White Sox scandal it was like the mid-20s or late 20s, I think it happened. They cheated the outcome of the World Series.
Yeah. Now, I will say, looking at the stats, it looks like 8 out of the 9 players did. Shoeless Joe Jackson did bad. I think it was over 350. Had a pretty good World Series. It wasn't like he completely tanked like the rest of the team did. So maybe there was one guy who didn't follow through with the plan the way the rest did. But when that many of them do, then of course, you know, the outcome's going to be what the outcome is. So, you know, you influence enough of the guys, it's going to make a difference on that outcome. So, Shoeless Joe Jackson's another one I think could have been in sooner, but because he was so associated with that White Sox team and they were caught for cheating, like you said, it is what it is.
People went to jail for that.
Yeah,
like, it was slap on the wrist.
It was real, and they deserve the ban they got. You know, as for Shoeless Joe, I think he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Sometimes guilty by association. Guilty because of the crowd he was in, not necessarily because he did it himself. But if you're the only guy on your team that didn't, well, guess what? Your team still tanked. Your team still took the dive, took the money and took the dive. Even if you, sir, were upstanding, you were still a part of that team. So that's where it's that guilty by association. So I always understood Shoeless Joe more than I understood Pete Rose. And again, Pete Rose wasn't even a player. He was like a manager at the time. And it was, again, a lot more circumstances to it. But again, nothing he was ever convicted of.
And no proof that he ever
court
been
case
on his
was
own
actually,
team.
and the court case was thrown out. Like, so MLB banned him and, you know, for what they perceived as, you know, and again, all of that to me just never sat well.
They banned him for allegations.
What happened with that White Sox team in 1990, like, that's a different scenario altogether. Yeah. That's you can look at that ban and call it just. I cannot look at Pete Rose and call it just.
Look at it like this, right? Pete Rose had nothing but allegations on him that got thrown out. The White Sox had people that literally went to jail, and that case set a precedent for future court cases. As you
interpreter is going to jail. He's in jail now. This still happened. And the MLB didn't do a damn thing to Ohtani. Want to know why? Because he was the highest paid player in baseball. Different player. Player was different because Rose wasn't playing anymore. So yeah. I think they screwed Rose where they couldn't screw themselves by doing it to Ohtani. And they'd be screwing themselves where, you know, they were just screwing Rose. Yeah. So I'll never look at that the same, though. To me, it just pisses me off that this is a big middle finger from Manfred to Pete Rose's grave right now. Yeah. He's standing over the tombstone with flipping him the double bird.
Yeah. Again, that quote that we just read, right? Obviously, a person no longer with us cannot represent a threat to the integrity of the game. Moreover, it is hard to conceive of a penalty that has more deterrent effect than one that lasts a lifetime with no reprieve. Sorry. You just sound like a jerk. There's no other way to put it. And I know most baseball fans, like diehard fans, do not like Rob Manfred. So screw him either way, right? Now something can say I have in common with the baseball fan world, right? Screw that guy. He sounds like a jerk. And it's stupid. I think this goes back to simply a headline grab, right? The NBA's dominating you with the playoffs, and even their draft lottery probably,
where we're going next.
Beat you in ratings in certain areas, right?
No, it didn't beat anybody in ratings. That to me it's the loser show. Who's tuning in to watch the loser show?
I mean, I actually had a few friends that watched that because they went.
Not that they're losers, but that's a loser.
I mean, if they're out there listening, we'll call you losers. I'm cool with it. We'll still be friends. But like the draft side of things, right? Talking about the lottery. I think how do I phrase this? Okay. Rigged, most likely.
No.
Wait. Let me finish. I think it is rigged based off of timing. So what I mean by that, okay? You mentioned Rose, right? Chicago boy, born and raised, one of their biggest markets, chance to put them together. Boom, let's do it. Chicago's winning this draft lottery, right? Then you end up in a position, I saw it earlier today, right? When AD got traded from New Orleans to the Lakers, New Orleans won the draft lottery, even with a low percentage. Luka gets traded from Dallas to the Lakers, Dallas wins the draft lottery. And then there was one other.
No, there's a couple others. So Chris Paul gets traded to the Clippers, Pelicans win the draft lottery. LeBron gets traded or signs with the Heat, Cavs win the draft lottery. Like, it's time and time again. There's so many other.
That's what I mean. Like, I think they time it.
2008, Derrick Rose going to his hometown of Chicago when the Bulls had a 1.7% chance.
Yeah.
2011, Cavs getting the number one pick after LeBron left the summer prior. 2012, Pelicans getting the number one pick after Chris Paul leaves. 2014, Cavs getting the number one pick, giving them the assets needed to bring Kevin Love to Cleveland. In 2019, the Pelicans getting the first pick after Anthony Davis demands a trade. 2025, Dallas gets the number one pick. Again, it's just over and over again.
Think about that, right? If it was fully rigged, every single year you'd be able to say something. I think it's a timed decision where they're like, if we make this move, we are going to jump ratings. If we let this happen, it's going to get us talked about in the papers. If we do that, like, there are certain, or when it's a huge name that they want to make sure gets to the team they want them to get to, right? You don't have these big names come out every single year out of college basketball or come out of every single year from Europe. So do I believe there is a riggedness, if that's the right word? And for any English teachers out there listening, including Amanda, I apologize.
That's not a word.
That's not a word at all.
I'm pretty sure that you invented
You would get removed if you were playing Scrabble and dropped that word. But like, my point is, I think it is a planned, strategic decision, not a every single year we're going to do this.
Yes, I can agree. I can agree with that, but
being rigged is there.
No, but again, you have to have a reason to rig it.
Yeah.
So that's the thing is, yes, not every year is there a reason to rig it, but you know, you look at it this year, there was a reason to rig it because Luka with that trade, that trade made sense to nobody. And now all of a sudden they land the first pick. It makes a little more sense now, doesn't it? And you're like, oh, okay, well, they gave up Luka, but now they're going to get Cooper Flagg, who everybody knows, who I think was there last night too, for whatever reason. Like, he's going to Dallas. Stick a jersey on.
The video, not Nico Collins, what's his name? The GM?
Yeah, Nico something.
Yes, who everybody's been going after since he traded Luka. And like in the room or whatever that the Dallas Mavericks team, was sitting in, when they announced they got the number one pick, he like lunges out of his chair in excitement. And I could be wrong. I only saw the video once, but it kind of looked like it took everything he had to not stare at the camera that was behind him and just like basically be like, what now? Right? Like something like that. Or like, we did it. This was my plan, whatever it was. Right? Because there's a lot of people that are like, oh, well, you put Flagg with Irving and AD, and now all of a sudden they're right back in the mix. And I'm like, but are they? Irving coming off of another knee injury. AD coming off of another season plagued by injuries.
I've already seen the memes out there of like Cooper Flagg 3 years, like, you know, Cooper Flagg coming into the Dallas Mavericks. He's like a roly poly, like, you know, just.
See, I'm picturing him more with like Kyrie, like holding up Kyrie with one arm, holding up AD with another arm, like trying to.
No, they got him holding up like 2 cheeseburgers, trying to get on the Luka plan to get out of Dallas. That's what it looked like to me. It's one of those things where you look at it and you just can't sit here and just don't lie to us. Like, just be like, listen, the trade was a little bit lopsided. We wanted to even it up and be done with it. And you know what? People could probably respect that and move on. Like, but nobody's got the balls to say that because that's what actually happened. Because they said this is lopsided. So what we're going to do is we're going to even it out a bit. You're going to get the first pick. It'll be all right.
The one thing I will say is it does the
prediction. Sticking the tinfoil hat on, and I'm throwing it out there before you can even say it too. I'm predicting with Milwaukee about to lose Giannis Antetokounmpo. It's going to happen. He's going to be gone. He wants out. The Milwaukee Bucks will get the number 1 pick next season after losing Antetokounmpo.
See, I'll go full.
Dying on that hill.
I'll go full tortilla slap bet with you on that one. That won't happen. Milwaukee's market's too small.
Wait, New Orleans isn't too small? All these other markets aren't too small?
I'm just saying, when people talk about places to go, do they say, let's go to Milwaukee or let's go to New Orleans?
No, but what are they going to let Milwaukee go down to irrelevant hell again?
Milwaukee spent a long time in irrelevant hell. It did not hurt NBA ratings. That's all I'll say.
I'm just telling you that a team that just won a recent NBA championship, having one of the biggest superstars in the league in his prime at 30 years old.
They'll leave him be for a good 20 years. Then maybe they'll give it to him.
I'm putting the tinfoil hat on Milwaukee. You might as well write it now. Give it to him.
I will die on the tour. I will take a tortilla slap bet on that one. I don't think Milwaukee gets the number 1 pick next year. I do think Giannis leaves.
No, Giannis definitely leaves.
But the one thing I wanted to say though about the lottery is that the teams, the 2 or 3 teams, Sacramento was one of them. The 2 or 3 teams that blatantly tried to tank this year.
Yeah, but they finished 4, 5, and 6, or 5, 6, and 7. I think.
But none of them got the top pick.
So none of them even got in the top 3.
But that's the reason the NBA keeps the lottery.
Yeah,
the NBA's justification for keeping the draft lottery, and they will tell you this anytime you ask them, is they keep it so that tanking doesn't reward teams.
No, but shitty trades shouldn't reward teams either.
Agreed. But the NBA also has to approve all trades. You think they'd rather have Luka in LA or Luka in Dallas?
But that's why, again, I'm not saying it. I'm saying it's not right and it's not fair, but it's exactly what they're doing.
Now, what I will say is, if Milwaukee trades, but
it ain't a good look when the Lakers go out in the first round. I'll say that it ain't a good look.
I mean, I thought it was freaking hysterical. Real quick, I want to shout out Timmy, Fife, Marissa, all in our chat. I'm missing at least one
brought up before
people.
about your Cowboys and Philly. Did you see that they're playing week 1? They got the Thursday night game on week 1.
I know, but real quick, I want to fight through something in here regarding the draft lottery. I think draft lotteries are ridiculous altogether. I've always felt the worst teams should get the top picks in order of worst to best. I dislike the NHL and NBA lottery systems.
I dislike it too, especially when things like this happen. I think it's stupid. And it, to me, just, like I said, it just gives the air of rigged. Gives the air of, like, WWE style, like, you know, like this shit is scripted.
Well, that's why I love how the NFL bust out the commercial last year where they had the script reading.
Yeah,
like that to me was hysterical. Like I think that shit is funny, but I also hate the fact that they're in today's world, right, with how so many different things are. Hey, it's this, it's that, it's this, it's that, and you just don't really trust anything or anyone anymore. Like, it ties right into all this, and it's only something that could really fuel the beast, right, and continue to pour things into. Where when you finish the year, right, and your worst team has the number 1 pick, there is no going back. Like, they shit the bed, they got the number 1 pick. I just think with basketball specifically, one player can change the course of an entire franchise for 10 to 20 years.
You could say the same in hockey, though, but with guys like McDavid, with guys like
but they still.
When Crosby came in the league, I specifically remember hearing about that draft. But it was like Crosby, Ovechkin.
If you put Crosby and Ovechkin on the same team from the day their career started, and they had no goaltending, they're not going to win anything. In the NBA, if you took Kobe. Or what's a draft? The draft that had LeBron, Wade, and Bosh, right? They had to play years before they ended up together. But if you ended up in a position where all three of them got drafted, that team would have went on to win God knows how many championships together for years to come and would have been arguably unstoppable. Basketball, to me, is the one sport out of the four major sports where one guy literally can take a team from worst to first.
Well, because it's got the least amount of people involved. You got 5 guys on the court, where even in hockey, you got 6.
You technically have 6, yeah.
You know, so I mean, it's technically the sport where you have the least amount of people. So of course, one person can matter more.
But that's why.
But at the same time, I would fight you on that because
the idea of rigging the draft in the NBA is so much more believable. Because the NBA understands that when their big markets are successful, their ratings are higher. So, yes, we're going to approve a trade from Luka, from Dallas to LA for Luka Doncic, one of the best players in the world, not just the league, but one of the best players in the world. So we can get another big name in Los Angeles, keep that market fueled and fired up. And Dallas is one of our mid to higher market regions. So we want to make sure that they get the next big name so that we can rely on them. They also help us carry ratings. The NBA is just easier to believe for me. That's all. Not saying the NHL couldn't do it. I'm just saying the NBA rigging their draft lottery is much easier for me to believe.
Absolutely
than
easier to believe, but I'm saying I'm taking it further than just the big markets because you've seen it with the Pelicans. You've seen it with other teams that consistently lose superstars and then somehow magically get the number 1 pick the next year. You've seen it over and over again, like I said, with the Pelicans, with now Luka and other teams. Like, it just is a pattern. And at this point, like, I got to call it the way I see it. And the way I see it is it's rigged. And I'm going to continue to say that. So it is what it is. I'll keep my tinfoil hat on. And, this conspiracy will keep rolling because for at least another year, prove me wrong next year. If they lose Antetokounmpo and they don't get the number 1 pick, I'll eat my words next year. I'll take the tinfoil hat off and I'll put some ketchup on it and eat it. But until that happens, till they can prove me wrong and prove the rest of us wrong.
How about instead of eating tinfoil with ketchup,
you
even
just had LeBron tweeting out like laughing emojis yesterday. You had all sorts of people that literally laughed when they saw this because it was such a joke. I mean, it's just an embarrassment to the sport, and at a time when, you know, the sport's actually doing well and gaining some traction. Like I said, what's going on in New York? New York's becoming a basketball town right now. And I mean, that'll, I guess, segue us to our next topic, and that's, I want to ask you, as somebody who's not a New York fan, who owns New York right now? Because you have the Knicks, which is the easy answer, and what Jalen Brunson's done in fourth quarters and in clutch time. Mr. Clutch. If you've seen any of the games recently, I mean, he is just a different player come second half and fourth quarter. Like, he becomes the man on the court. And
he basically becomes he becomes one of the best players in the world.
He does.
When the game's on the line, there's not many guys in the league that would take over him.
He's got that killer instinct. He's got one of those things that, like, we talk about, Kobe had, other people had. Like, you got to have that finishing, that closing, that killer mentality. He's got that. He's got it. Like, he's got it 10 times over. He's got it.
He's got what you dream of, especially in your point guard. Especially in your point guard.
So the Knicks are the easy answer here. We're kicking the Rangers out because they're out. We're kicking out the Nets. We're kicking out all everybody else. But right now, to me, it's really a 2-horse race here in New York because you have what the Knicks are doing, but you also have, and I pointed out to you after the show the other day, you have what Aaron Judge is doing in baseball. And I know you're not a big baseball guy, and especially this time of year when NHL and NBA playoffs are going on. Man is batting .415. Leading the league in home runs.
When you pulled it up last Tuesday, it was .416, which in the world of baseball, that .001 percentage is actually a pretty damn big deal.
I mean, you look at it, he's batting .414, I mean, the guy's second highest batting average in Major League Baseball, Paul Goldschmidt at 350. He's also on the Yankees. Nobody talks about him because Judge is doing things that are outside of like the laws of what baseball physics should be. And that's the special part. I mean, you look at it, he's got 40 ribbies already.
14 home runs.
14 home runs. He's leading the league in hits. He's
going for the Triple Crown.
He's doing everything you can do. He has like in the last like 162 games, like 163 RBI, 65 home runs. It's absurd. With the numbers this man is putting up are absolutely historic. When you hear the name Judge, you know who people are talking about instantly. And the Yankees are in first place in the AL East, up I think 2.5 or 3 games right now. So I mean they're playing really good baseball. But then you look at it, and I'm going to throw a third name at you because he was the man all last year. He was the man all winter long, all offseason, $800 million man, almost the first $1 billion man, more than Ohtani, Juan Soto. And what the Mets are doing, Mets first place in the NL East, rolling along. I think they're second in the league, only a half game maybe behind the Dodgers, absolutely killing it. So when you look at it and you think about the year and a half of Juan Soto and all the things you've heard about him, you think about what Judge is doing right now on an absolutely historic monster pace. And then you have what Jalen Brunson is doing with the Knicks and Captain Clutch, as he's firmly taken that name. Whose town is it right now?
Look, I don't even think that's a question, to be completely honest with you. Did you see the clips of 7th Street last night after the game? That they literally had to shut the streets down around Madison Square Garden because New York Knicks fans took it over. New York Knicks fans. Here, not even that. Let's look at it like this. The last time the Knicks made the Eastern Conference Finals was 2000. It has been 25 years since that. The Mets have made it to a World Series and at least one NLCS in that 25-year time span. The Yankees have made a couple World Series, won a World Series, and made several ALCSs in that 25-year time span. So I don't think it's close. I think it's the Knicks all the way right now. And also it's due to the fact that we got to keep in mind too. Mets and Yankees, they're not even at the midway point of their season. The Knicks are 5 wins away from playing for the NBA championship. 5 games from now, the Yankees and Mets are still not even close to the halfway mark of their entire regular season. The Knicks, 5 wins. 5 wins. And they are hoisting the Lombardi. They're hoisting the NBA championship trophy. I can't remember what it's called.
I believe it's the Larry O'Brien.
There you go. I kept wanting to say Paul O'Brien for some reason. Larry O'Brien. That I think maybe that's what it is. Maybe I got them mixed up. But either way, they're hoisting the Larry O'Brien trophy for the first time since 1973. Most Knicks fans that were in that arena last night
I've never seen a championship.
Weren't alive the last time they hoisted the Larry O'Brien trophy. So I don't really think that's a question. And it's because of those reasons. And I don't think if the Yankees or Mets won their next 5 in a row, they're shutting a street down in New York. They're not shutting a street down in a borough. They're not shutting a bar down because they win 5 games in a row right now. But if you get 5 more wins by the Knicks, they're literally the NBA champions. And you want to talk about shutting the city down. That parade will blow out the Puerto Rican Day parade. It'll blow out the last time the Yankees had a parade for winning a World Series. It'll blow out the Giants Super Bowl last parade in 2011. It'll blow them all out because you are talking literally 52 years of people waiting. You are going to have
It's 54 for the Rangers.
You're going to have guys that are sitting. No.
When the Rangers won in 94, I think it was 54 years.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant 54 years since their last one.
No, when they won in 94. Now, Fife, shout out to Reed, by the way, who's listening. Let's go Devils. That's for you, Reed, man. But Fife could probably clear that up for me. But I believe it was 94, and I believe it was 54 years was the drought for the Rangers when they won in 94. But yeah, so it's 52 years now for the Knicks. I've never seen a Knicks title in my life. I've seen them go there 3 times. I remember some of my earliest basketball memories were, believe it or not, the Bronco chase. And then not only that, then you go to the, was it 99, 2000 with Camby and Spreewell and those guys. And that was really the last good basketball I've seen outside of a couple of years of Carmelo Anthony that I've had as a Knicks fan. So,
and even with Melo, they never got past the second round.
As much as I want to disagree with you and say it's still Judge's town, right now I think this is Jalen Brunson's town.
Right now.
And if he continues to do what he's doing, this could be Jalen Brunson's town until Judge either wins wins a World Series or something of that nature. But you can't deny what's going on right now.
If this team wins the finals, I mean, honestly, even if they just get to the finals, Jalen Brunson will never pay for a drink or a meal for the rest of his life in New York City. Never. He never will. And there's several guys on this team. Mikal Bridges last night looked amazing in the third and fourth quarter. He helped them get and maintain the lead while Brunson was on the bench.
I love it. Have you seen? I know I've retweeted a bunch of times, but it's just a meme of it's like him in a Nike. It's like a silhouette black and white photo, and it's just got the Nike check mark, and on the bottom it just says "fuck them picks." Yeah,
my buddy last night after the game wrapped up in the group chat that we have. Shout out to all my boys that are out there. Got to officially ask them to be my groomsmen this past Saturday. But we were texting back and forth during the game last night. And when the game was a wrap, my buddy wrote in all caps with 5 exclamation points. Fuck them picks. And look, when it's all said and done, that is the reality of it, right? Look at the Rams. If you want to change sports, the Rams gave up first-round pick after first-round pick. They go get a Super Bowl. You think any fan of the Rams right now is pissed they traded them picks? No. Get me that ring. It's within the last couple of years. You get to still really brag about it, enjoy it, be proud of it. Which also shout out to Marissa. I was joking about how the Eagles are going to celebrate a past glory, and it's no, they're the defending Super Bowl champs. I was being bitter. So Marissa, if you're still listening, I was the one being bitter. But what the Knicks have done, and really quick, and I think I need to say this more than anybody else for how much I literally cannot stand New York teams other than the Mets. Any person out there that says the Knicks won last night because of the Tatum injury is a moron. That game was a 7-point game, about to be 9 points, because even if he doesn't get hurt diving for that ball, Obi was getting that ball and dunking it. You would have had a 9-point game with a little over 2 minutes left in the game. That game was a wrap. I don't care what you think about the Celtics. I don't care if they live and die by the 3. The 3 ball cost them this series in games 1 and 2. The Tatum injury is going to cost them the rest of the series. I'm sorry, watching the rest of that team play. The
non-contact part of it, dude, that's the worst part. Any injury you see where the guy just collapses like that, and there's no reason for the collapse, your heart goes out to him. You feel bad for him.
Oh, God, yeah.
You have to, Yeah,
no, I completely agree. And Tatum, you never hear anything bad about him in the media, right? Players respect him, maybe not as much as maybe even deserves, but never anything bad. Looks like he's a good father. It looks like he's a good person. He's respected and loved in the city he plays for. He also, prior to the injury, which is one of the things that a lot of people feel bad about for him, 92% of games that his team has played since he's been drafted, he's played in. That's long. That says a lot. Now, thankfully, he's 27 years old. He's got plenty of money. He's got probably a great team around him to help him rehab and get back to it. But you're probably not seeing him in the 2025-2026 NBA season. You're probably not seeing him. So you want to talk about a team that might end up with the first overall pick. It could be the Celtics. You want to talk about rigging things.
If they fell off that hard from just a Tatum injury, though, I don't see it. Like, because they still have Jaylen Brown, they still have Derek White, they still got Holiday. It's like they got players on that team. Porzingis. They shouldn't be missing the playoffs. They should not be a lottery team.
They got a good head coach. They should not be missing the playoffs. But
so I mean, you want to tell me they're a 4 seed next year, a 6 seed next year? I could buy that. I don't think they fall even in the top 6 because you look at some of those other teams, man. I got to tell you, I am with you and what you've said. Take the top 16 records, throw out the conferences, throw out the divisions. Take the top 16 teams,
be done with it.
And that's what really should be going because I just don't see the Celtics falling. And by the time you hit that 7, 8, 9, like you're under 500. Some of those teams, I don't see the Celtics getting there. So I still think they fall in the 4 to 6 range next year, even without Tatum, and maybe even higher if they get great play out of Brown, another player, and Porzingis and other players. Who knows? And who knows who they go out and try and get in the offseason, maybe, who they try to trade for or whatnot. So I'm not counting the Celtics out next year. By any means, and if they're a lottery team, then you just sign up the first pick for them. But I don't see it. I'm still dying on that hill of Antetokounmpo.
Well, what I will say though is things are setting up to get a rematch of last year's second round matchup with Indiana and the Knicks playing in the Eastern Conference Finals. And I don't know about you, but God, does that bring me back to the 90s? Right, because you basically had
Indiana knocked the Knicks out in 7 last year too.
You had Indiana, the Knicks, and Chicago. Right, it was those were the 3 teams in the East.
I feel like it was for a couple of years there. You had like Orlando. A couple of years you had Charlotte, and for a couple of years you had Miami
with Tim Hardaway, Alonzo Mourning.
Yeah,
right?
when Mourning went from the Hornets to Miami,
that got rid of the Hornets and replaced it with Miami. But like. At the same time, when I say that out loud, you know how depressing that makes it makes my life when it comes down to basketball? My Bulls, for the 3rd year in a row, make the play-in tournament, get knocked out in the first round of the play-in tournament, and end up with some shit pick. This year, they get to 12. Awesome.
Woo!
That's great. Now, don't get me wrong, right? You never know, especially in the NBA. Like, most of these guys take 3, 5, 7 years to really reach their prime because they come out so young. But, like, what's Chicago adding with the 12 pick that's going to make me think that they're going to be better than the 7 through 10 spot? Like, nothing. I watched college basketball this year. There was not a lot of guys that popped off the screen where you were like, he's got a future, right? Now,
Flagg's about the only one you've really heard, like, definitive. He's number 1, and that's it.
It was Flagg and one other guy. I can't remember his name off the top of my head that literally went down to the end of the season for National Player of the Year. And then Flagg ran away with it in the final couple weeks before the tournament started. So, like, I don't know. Nothing gives me hope as a Bulls fan because I would love to be in a position where I'm like, wow, Indiana, Chicago, and New York. Like, even when I always laugh when I do NBA 2K, right? And I do my little fantasy drafts. You bring in like all the all-stars and, the past Hall of Famers and stuff, and you do your little fantasy draft. I purposely set up the draft where, as you can imagine, Chicago number 1, so I can take Michael Jordan, no surprise, right? But then it's literally the Knicks, Indiana, Lakers. Like, I go back, I set the draft order to what I grew up loving to watch and the matchups I loved watching. But that also goes back to what you mentioned before with what I've said, right? It should just be the top 16 teams, and 1 plays 16, 2 plays 15. I think if the NBA wants to get to a point where they go back to the number 2 sport in the country, that is the change that they can make that will make that happen. So I think the Cavs survive tonight. They're home, but I think Indiana takes it in game 6.
Cavs got too many injuries.
The injuries are killing them. And even Donovan Mitchell got hurt in game 4, but apparently he's playing tonight. But they're up 12. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, the ending to the other game where
they score like 9 points and like
it's like he missed the free throw on purpose, ends up with the rebound, hits the 3 to win the game. Like, it would just nothing has gone Cleveland's way in this round against Indiana. And not to knock Indiana, they're a gritty, tough team. And I think Indiana and New York will be a very entertaining, especially for old school basketball fans of teams. You want to watch them fight and grind and really push. Very similar to the Detroit Knicks series, right? It's just Indiana's better than Detroit. So I think you get a better series. And I think it'll be enjoyable to watch kind of that 90s style basketball a little bit more than living in the world of, hey, we're going to shoot 40, 50 3-pointers in a game. Also, hard to root against the Knicks because I do love Tom Thibodeau, and that guy deserves success as a head coach. He won a ring with the Celtics under Doc Rivers, with the KG, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen teams. Like, he got his ring, but like to get one as a head coach compared to an assistant coach, I can only imagine the world of difference that would mean to him individually. So I do have this small piece of me that is pulling from New York because I just always love Tibbs. I always have. I just think he gets the most out of his guys and can take a guy that would, is 8th or 9th on the bench. And if the guy gives him the effort, Tibbs is giving him 25, 30 minutes a game because Tibbs does not go deep into his bench. So
no, I mean, you look at the Knick bench, it's really been Mitchell Robinson and Deuce McBride with like other people maybe getting a minute or two here or there, 2 or 3 minutes here or there. Like that's it. Like it's a short bench, but he's rolling with those starters, and those starters get the job done. But I'm going to say something that's probably unpopular amongst the NBA community right now. It might be unpopular with you. I think the Cavs all year long have been a paper tiger. I think they've been an illusion. They've been a team that people look at and they're like, oh my God, look what the Cavs are doing. But I don't think they're like, and I get that they're dealing with a lot of injuries. I get it, but at the same time, I've never looked at them as the cream of the crop of the East. I always looked at still, even though the Celtics were in second place all year pretty much behind Cleveland, and Cleveland's pretty much went start to finish as the first place. I've never bought into this Cleveland team, and I don't buy into them now. I don't see it with this team. I don't see what everybody else sees, and they're like, oh, they're a matchup problem. They're this. I don't get it. I don't see it. I know they're a good team because I've watched them, and I've seen what they've done all year, but I just think that it's more of a paper tiger thing, in my opinion. I don't think they're as good as their record says they are.
Their record, without a doubt, was inflated. They got off to a very hot start. They took advantage of some really bad Eastern Conference teams early in the year. And overall, I do just think that I actually am not bothered by that comment. Do I think they were one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the East? Yes. Do I think they were the number 1 team in the East? No. I think Boston was still your best team in the East.
I do too, but I think a lot of people gave disrespect to the Knicks, and they were like, no, the Knicks are far behind where Cleveland and you want to tell me the Knicks were behind where the Celtics were, and I get it, the Celtics are the defending championships, I get it. But you can't tell me that if you looked at the Knicks roster and you look at the Cavs roster, that it's that big a disparity. Like people to me were,
but that wasn't conversation at the beginning of the year. What the problem was with the Knicks when those statements were coming out were because they were struggling against all of the top teams in the league, East or West. They went
0 for 11 against the top teams.
Yeah, I was one of the guys that
How are they doing now?
That's why I got to.
How we doing now?
I got to. By the way, for anybody that missed last week, I have to treat Eric to a trip to Tommy's.
Well, not yet. They haven't won the series yet.
Yeah. All right. Once they win the series, which will be what, tomorrow? No, because it goes to Boston. So they get a travel day today, off tomorrow, and then play Thursday, I believe. So I just want to make sure I'm right on that. I think it is.
No, they play tomorrow and they play Friday if need be.
Really?
It's Wednesday, Friday, yeah.
They're not giving them one day for the travel, huh?
No.
Interesting. Well, I mean, you're not going far.
So that's Wednesday. Yeah. Now go to Friday. I'm pretty sure if need be, the game would be Friday.
Yeah. Yeah, that game's not going to need to be. That game. I'm sorry. With Tatum being hurt, if Tatum came out of that game healthy, I think the series would go back to New York. But then again, they shot 25 for 100 from 3 in their first 2 games in Boston, so not much confidence really after that. But either way, I'm get treating the volume thing. It's just a matter of when.
I mean, to be honest with you, though, is that a fun brand of basketball? Like, to me, what the Knicks are doing is fun. The way they're winning is fun. Just sitting there and chucking them I mean, at one point they threw up 7 straight threes and missed them all
while winning.
But that's what I mean. I don't understand that mentality of like.
It's analytics. It's today's NBA. It's embarrassing.
It's stupid. It's embarrassing. And to be honest, it's costing them the series.
Oh, no, it is costing them the series, but it's also what won them the finals last year. It's what got them the number 2 seed in the East this year. They are a team that lived and died by the 3. And they shot they were number 2 or 3 in the entire NBA in 3-point percentage, yet they were number 1 in 3-point attempts.
No, it's a little off from that. Actually, the Knicks shot better from 3, believe it or not. Knicks shot better than the Celtics. The Celtics just scored more threes because they shot more. By volume, the Celtics are, yes, they're the number 1 team by volume. But when it comes to actual makes, this, that, and the other, like they're middle of the pack.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where you gotta accept the fact that good for you that you really think that this is helpful, but I'm sorry, I still believe, and maybe it's the age of me, right? Maybe it's just very simply, I'm finally becoming the older guy that says, well, back in my day, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe that is, but like, I am sorry, that is not how basketball was ever intended. Like, for the love of God, when the damn game was created, the 3-point line didn't even exist. Like, it did not exist. And now it is the most important shot in the entire game. Meanwhile, half the league can't shoot higher than 70% from the freaking free throw line. Like, that's embarrassing. And that's why I use that word. Because it's like, oh, cool. We're shooting 40% from 3, which is really good. And now, but our team is a 68%, free throw shooting team. Like, the easiest damn shot in the game. And that's what we are. Like, oh, yeah, you got it up here. So
3-point percentage. They're way down here, 35%.
Yeah, so they're 1, 2, 3.
Knicks Knicks were right there, 35.4. Right
yeah,
there.
so they're a tenth of a percentage off.
But
they shot 38 a game. Cleveland 41. See, that's what I mean. Like, these teams are right. They're playing the analytics and the odds and the numbers. It's that simple. And good for you. I'm sure that's great. Whatever. But I just, to me, I don't think it's the right way to play the game of basketball. That's all I'll say. But the Knicks are going to probably lock this up tomorrow. I think Cleveland probably forces game 5, or no, we're in game 5. Forces game 6, and then loses to Indiana. I think you look at Denver OKC, that series tied 2-2. I think it can really go either way. Kind of what we saw earlier, right? Is Russell Westbrook the key for Denver to be able to push past this team? Maybe. But to me, it's Jokic, right? You're the best.
Jokic and Murray.
You're the best player in the world. Like, just do it, right? SGA, prove why you're going to win MVP over Jokic. Like, that's what we're looking at. Anthony Edwards, with Curry going down, should be able to push Minnesota past Golden State. So Anthony Edwards, like I said to you last week, man, it kind of sucks though, because my whole thing was like, hey, let's knock out Steph Curry after you knocked out LeBron and damn it, I keep doing this every time. Jokic and Doncic. Knocking out LeBron and Doncic, and then you go take out Steph, and then your next one trying to take out Jokic or the number 1 seed, and you make it to the finals. What a run. What a way to build up your name. Steph going down.
That would be the storyline if the Knicks and the Wolves made the finals. That would be, with the trade for Cat and all of that, that would be a big time storyline for a finals.
I mean, honestly, I think if it's Knicks Timberwolves, I think the Knicks are hoisting that trophy.
I hope so.
I genuinely do. I think if it's OKC, could go either way. I think if it's Denver, I would lean towards Denver.
You look at it though, and this is where we're going to go transition to our next topic here. But you look at it, and it seems to be a little bit more parity, believe it or not, in the NBA. I mean, you're looking at a 3 seed in the Knicks, and we're talking about maybe a 6 seed in the Wolves. Advancing to a championship. Believe it or not, in the NHL, you don't have that this year.
No.
The NHL, believe it or not, is pretty top heavy. and which is a little bit surprising. And I don't know if Fife's still with us in the chat. If he is, feel free to join into any part of this. But I mean, right now it does look like the lower seeds are winning. So you have the 2-seeded Stars up 2-1 over the Jets. You got the Oilers up 3-1 over the Golden Knights. The Panthers are tied 2-2 with the Maple Leafs, and the Capitals. Historic season and run here with Ovechkin could be coming to an end.
I think Fife hit it spot on when I was like, are they trying to set up this journey for Ovechkin to set the goal record, go get a cup, and be able to walk away? I don't think that's happening. I think Carolina's proven why they're such a good team.
Speaking of the man,
hey,
maybe he can.
Really quick, I really do have to leave at 8:00. So if Fife's still going, I'm not. I don't want to be rude to anybody, but I will have to.
We're gonna make it quick because we don't got much after this. So.
Yeah, I figure schedule release we can talk about next week because that will have everything that. I mean, we know all the Europe games and the other games, but
I wasn't going into schedule and stuff. No, I wasn't doing that.
Fife, bear with us, bud. Bear with us. He's trying to connect to the Bluetooth.
Connecting to Bluetooth. We should have him here any second. I believe he is with us.
You got to turn
How
him
you
up.
doing tonight, Mr. Eric Pfeiffer?
What up?
What's going on? Shout out to you and Reed,
How
man.
you guys?
Doing good. Talk a little NHL because we were just talking how seems like there could be a couple of deeper seeds in the NBA actually making it a little bit further than some of the seeds here with hockey this year. And I was just thinking it was a little more top heavy this year, and I wanted to get your thoughts on that because as the playoffs are going on, to me, it just seemed a little bit more top heavy than we're used to.
Yeah, I think the top teams sort of separated themselves from the pack this year. The wild card teams just weren't what we're used to.
I feel like usually we would get a lower seed that would have like that run where a goalie would get hot.
Hot. Yep. I feel
and
like every year
some team makes that run. Where this year we just didn't get that.
Yeah, no. I mean, if any team was going to do it, I mean, they weren't necessarily a wild card team, but maybe the Devils could have made a push against Carolina. I know it was a 4-1 series, but you had some other good series out there in the West. But St. Louis had a chance to push Winnipeg out, but they just, it just didn't come through in the end.
All right. Well, I don't know. Just to me, it just seemed a little bit interesting. So it seemed a bit like a different year for hockey than some recent past. So.
What do you, Fife, specifically, what do you think of the Maple Leafs Panthers? Because, I mean, basically the home team is undefeated, right? Toronto takes the first 2 games at home. Florida rebounds after, obviously they had the amazing run last year. So Florida rebounds. So we're down to a best out of 3. Like, are you seeing anything in that series that makes you lean one way or the other? Or are we just looking at a very good matchup and basically the puck, how it bounces is going to determine which way this series goes?
Well, it's a good matchup, and we've seen series like this in the past where the home team wins each game. That's the Devils in 0-3 against Anaheim. They went back and forth. Whoever was home won. Devils had the home ice advantage and ended up winning in 7 at home. So we've seen stuff like that. I think Stolarz comes back for Toronto in the next game, so at least he was on the ice practicing today. So I think that could be a difference maker for them. We'll see.
I was just going to ask how you think it gives them a boost to get him back into the lineup.
Get him back in the lineup. He's, I wouldn't say he's above and beyond what their current goaltender is, who filled in for him, but I think he's slightly better, and I think that can be a huge difference in a playoff series.
All right.
So out of any of these series that are left, not to jump in ahead of you, but with all these series left, any of the ones that are 2-1 or 3-1, any of those teams, which one would you give the best chance to come back and win that series?
I think Vegas can do it.
Down 3-1, you think they can do it?
I think, if I had to pick one that was down that could come back, I think it would be Vegas.
And it's a Canadian team
that's a little
that they're going against.
That's and that's a little bit of a surprise to me. But Connor McDavid had a taste of it. They made it to the final and lost. So.
He hasn't had a great series, though. Isn't he? I think he's like a -1 on the series so far. Like,
The thing is, though, is just his presence. You have to account for him, which opens things up for everybody else. So, if they're going to put all their efforts into stopping him, then you have to worry about the rest of the lineup, which is a lineup that they have solidified and built over the last 3 years to become a serious contender. They had, I believe it was Picard got hurt, so they had Skinner fill in. Skinner was their original starting goalie this year. He had a really bad start to the playoffs, so they went with Picard, who then ended up reeling off, I think it was like 6 straight wins. Then they went back, and he lost the first one, but then he caught a shutout last game, so they have a little bit of a goaltender battle going on for when Picard comes back. But to me, that's a surprising series. I thought it was going to be, if you remember the last time we talked, I said hopefully one of these round 2 series goes to a game 7. I thought that was going to be the one to hit a game 7, and right now it's not looking that way, but you never know. That was the one I had the biggest question on. But, hey, you could see possible Toronto versus Edmonton final this year, which brings the cup to Canada.
Canada wins no matter what.
There you go. That is one way to make sure you get your country a Stanley Cup. Have both teams that play for it be from your country. So,
it's funny too. It's funny too because we say like, oh, the Canadian teams haven't won a cup in this many years. But like, let's be honest, it's the NHL. We're not talking about like the World Cup or the Olympics. It's the NHL. And they have a mix of players from every country on every team. So it's not really about Canada versus U.S. or anything like that. It's just
it's just funny that they can't win their own championship.
You know what I mean?
That's what made the Frozen Four so much fun, right? Like being able to take all these pros from around the world and put these teams together. I mean, I can't wait till they do that again. That was a lot of fun, and it even made you excited for the Winter Olympics and the next time that these
Absolutely.
countries go up against each other for gold. So I do have one question for you, and this is really kind of random because it's not actually about a matchup or a team, but I feel like this is, from what I can remember, and my memory just might be off, but I'm noticing how basically the broadcasts are alternating, right? One night is a dominant ESPN night where they take the hockey games and TNT takes the basketball games, and then it's vice versa the following night. So kind of random, but which broadcasting crews are you liking more? Are you enjoying the ESPN coverage of the Stanley Cup playoffs, or are you enjoying TNT's coverage of the Stanley Cup playoffs?
Kind of like TBS and TNT. I know PK Subban's the big ESPN guy. I was never a big PK Subban guy, and obviously Mark Messier's there. Blah, puke. Can't stand Mark Messier, so I'm probably going to roll with the TBS TNT guys.
All right. I feel more familiar with the TBS TNT guys because I don't feel like this is like the second or third year in a row ESPN started doing NHL playoffs. So like I think I'm just more comfortable with the TNT TBS guys, but I think ESPN's done a pretty good job with their coverage. But I think one of the other things that I don't like about it is just ESPN's become so much more about the clickbait and trying to just have their hosts and those people say things to make people react instead of just giving real feedback and analysis. So maybe that's part of it as well, but I just think I'm more comfortable. But I just feel like this is the first year I ever really noticed how they've alternated every night. And as somebody, fight for, I know you've been a diehard hockey guy your entire life, where me, I've really kind of gotten back into it over the last, 2-3 years. Shout out to my fiance Amanda for that one, actually. But like, I thought it was an interesting thing to ask you just to kind of get some perspective at an overall view. So figured I'd throw that one at you.
Well, and I think, and if without getting too politically incorrect, I'd say, but I think ESPN's hiring process is a little bit different than what TBS and TNT. I think TBS and TNT are hiring the best guys for the job, whereas ESPN is sort of looking at more of a political type of person that they're going to hire. And I think if you look across a lot, like if you look at the NFL, the way they hire broadcasters, I don't know that's always because they're the best. But either way, I hope I didn't say anything wrong with that. But that's just my opinion.
No, you're good.
You kept yourself safe. I don't think you'll have anybody the world coming to shut you down.
Yeah, the millions and millions of listeners out there. But I just feel like TBS and TNT, again, they're hiring for credentials and the guys who are better for the job. Especially, I'm not so much talking about play-by-play announcers and things like that, because I think ESPN has great play-by-play announcers and color commentary. I'm talking more about the intermission stuff and things of that nature.
Yeah, no, I mean the color commentary on both, I think on both stations has been really great. But my comfort, like I said, my comfort level for like the intermission, pregame, postgame stuff. But the one positive is, I mean, nobody really draws more ratings for sports than ESPN. So I'm just glad that the NHL is getting some spotlight. They deserve it, and they've got some really
more
great
eyeballs on the
there.
sport can't hurt. That's for sure.
Well, that, and I'm not sure, because I watch a lot on mute now, but I'm not sure if he's been doing it. But Steve Levy is one of my favorite guys to listen to call an NHL game.
He's an ESPN classic. He's up there with like Chris Berman, yeah. Which I heard Berman. I saw Schefter tweet that Berman re-upped, so he'll be the first guy at ESPN to be able to celebrate 50 years. So.
Yeah, that's freaking crazy, man. I couldn't imagine 50 years in one spot anyway for any job, but. If you told me you would pay me and I could support my life and my family doing this, I would do this for 50 years. There's no question about it.
Absolutely.
Maybe not at this point. Pushing 90, I'd probably retire at that point, but you get the idea.
Amen.
Well, thank you, sir, as always, for the insight. You are, and your knowledge on hockey is invaluable. So thank you, as always, for taking the time to join us. Thank you also to Reedman, if he was out there listening at all tonight too before bedtime. So thank you guys for listening and giving a call in, because we always love getting a chance to talk to you. So thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Yeah, he fell asleep early tonight, and I figured Dave only had till 8, and I dragged him out 5 minutes longer, so I apologize for that.
It's funny you say that, because while you were answering my question about the networks, Eric literally muted both our mics, and he just looked at me. He's like, "You asked this question, not me." You reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. But no, I really do appreciate you, Fife, every time we get you, and
absolutely
love the beautiful family, and very happy for you no matter what.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you later.
All right, talk to you soon.
Good.
Love you, brother. Bye. All right, and that was Mr. Eric Pfeiffer joining us. So big shout out to him. Thank you for him, because, to be honest, his hockey knowledge is invaluable. I mean, his knowledge on the sport is
the amount of years I'd have to it helps that he played. That's the big difference.
Well, that is
right?
the big difference, is that, and he played not even just he went above, high school level.
He still plays in his adult leagues, right?
So, I mean,
your perspective on a game is so different when you played the game. That's why, basketball, though I don't love the game the way I used to when I was a kid, it's so much easier for me to talk about it because I played it, right? Football.
Well, speaking of which, that's going to bring us to the last thing I would just want to throw at you real quick, because we can't get out of here without, nobody talks more WNBA than we do. And I'm just going to throw the question out there, because season starts this weekend. Well, you got the Indiana Fever on this weekend. Year number 2 for Caitlin Clark. Is she bringing home a title in year 2? I want to know, are you dying on that hill, Dave? Because I'm going to tell you what, year 2, I'm actually a Liberty fan, New York fan. They just happen to win. I'm kind of hoping my Knicks follow that up. But at the same time, I'm a huge Caitlin Clark fan. And what she was able to do last year, what I think she's going to be able to do this year, from everything I've heard, her work ethic, everything. I mean, even nights she's out and you see her out getting photographed at this restaurant or doing this or doing that, she's at the gym 8 a.m. next day. She is that type of person. She is dedicated. She put in the work in the off season. I think it could pay off. Do you think it culminates in a year 2 championship for Caitlin Clark? Are you dying on that hill?
If it's the Fever or the Field, I'm taking the Field. I think they're a much better team this year. I think they could make a run in the playoffs, but I think there's some really good teams that are out there. I think there are some teams that have brought in some talent that could really help them. I'm not going to sit here and rattle off names, right? We don't hide the fact that we don't know the WNBA inside and out, but we respect it and we talk about it.
We're getting to know it. The more we talk about it, the more we get invested in it, the more we're going to know about it. And that's the whole thing. We're on a learning journey together because, to be honest, nobody out there talks WNBA. So at least we're out there talking it.
Hey, you want proof of the difference that Caitlin Clark made in the WNBA? Last year, when we started talking about the WNBA, right, we have the ESPN.com website up right now. Last year, you had to go under the tab that said more sports, let that drop down, and then go find WNBA. What's on the bar all with the other major sports?
WNBA.
WNBA. Now, I don't want to say we should take any credit for that. Like, I don't want to say that, but if people want to give us, 0.5% of credit
historically,
for that,
if they went back and listened,
I'm just saying.
We started the trend.
I might die on that hill. That we helped make that happen. I don't know.
So you're taking the field though. You're dying on the hill of the field. The field wins this year.
I'm taking the field just because.
And I'm with you, by the way. Just so we're simpatico there. There's no big grand reveal here. I'm with you. I think the field is still what you do overall, but.
Do I think they can win a playoff series this year? Yes. Do I think they can even scare a team that is favored to win the WNBA championship? Yes. But I don't know. I think that when you're a team that drafts number 1 overall, it's very rare that, the 2 years after that you're hoisting the trophy for your league. It's possible. And I think it would be an awesome story.
Possible, not probable.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect way to say it. So right now, taking the field.
All right, so we're both taking the field. We're dying on that hill. Even though year 2, we're going to be out there rooting for her.
MVP potentially?
Oh, yeah. That's definitely in the works.
Expect to see her in the running for that. So that's one
I'm
thing.
going to die on the hill and say she does win the MVP. I'm going to, you throwing a question out there, I'm dying on that hill. She's getting the MVP this year. Year 2, MVP. Rookie of the year last year, MVP this year.
I without a doubt see her being in the final 3 when it comes down to finalists. I don't know if we see her get there because we got to keep in mind there's some really, really talented women in that league. So they just didn't get the hype and attention that Caitlin Clark got.
No, but I think she is. I mean, Brianna Stewart's going to get some hype this year as well, but.
She's the future.
She and especially right now, until that shot cools off, man, she is the preeminent shooter in the game of basketball.
Yeah, she's. I mean, look out for Paige Buckets, though. I know that's not her actual last name. I just like calling her Paige Buckets. Mm-hmm. She, drafted this year. I mean,
that's what I meant, by the way, when I said Brianna Stewart.
What's going to help Caitlin Clark more than anything is she's not going to have to go through the entire college basketball season. Through the NCAA tournament, women's double NCAA tournament, get all the way to the Final Four, and then 3 weeks later start playing in WNBA preseason and regular season games. Like, she had a full off season, and that's going to help her more than anything else, I think, to be more prepared for this year.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so
with a little bit of rest, she could be scary. So definitely kicking that off this Saturday. But until Saturday, until next week when I get to see you again. Where can the peoples find you?
Getting in the damn car, heading home. No, D Hastings 23. God, I did all this to myself. I'm so sorry. D Hastings 23 on the IG. David Hastings 23 on Twitter, now known as X. And
all
right, that's where you
find me at the Living Legend on X. You can find us or find Louis at Louis Aussie Dude on Instagram. You could also find Joey, who's not here with us, but we hope to have back one day.
Definitely.
At Joey Doth 47. At Doth stands for Die on this hill.
Yes, it does.
And until next time, I mean, don't be afraid.
Have that opinion. Don't be afraid.
And die on this hill with us.
Die on it, baby. Let's go.
Boom. While you're at it, like, subscribe, follow, share. Do all those free.
Free.
Do it while you're dancing.